we had a bet, and he said a woman would never want to hire a male sex worker. And I go, bullshit.
This podcast is for general informational purposes and entertainment only and should not be considered medical advice. Dr. Ashley is not responsible or liable for any advice, course of treatment, or other information you obtain through this podcast, and neither am I. So if you have any real problems, go see a doctor in person.
This is The Full Release with Mo Mandel.
And Dr. Ashley.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, welcome back, guys. I am Dr. Ashley Winter, board-certified urologist and sex med specialist.
And I am Mo Mandel. I'm a stand-up comedian and her husband.
And we are married. And this is The Full Release.
The Full Release. We've got a great episode.
Yeah. An phenomenal guest.
I've
been so excited to have her on.
Yeah.
For years. Basically years. Yeah.
Ever since we started this podcast,
Yeah.
I thought the best guest that we could have on would be Krystyna Hutchinson from the Guys We Fucked podcast or Obama.
Right.
And so far, Obama is being shady with the responses.
Yeah.
But Krystyna Hutchinson, hilarious comedian, podcaster, superstar, agreed to be on the show, and she was phenomenal.
Yeah. And also need to mention, she has another solo podcast, The Voices in Our Heads.
That's right.
So you can check out both of those. She's super awesome, and we're so excited to have you guys listening in.
Yeah, it's great. Oh, there's more?
You can watch us on YouTube.
That's right. If you'd like to watch our interview with Krystyna Hutchinson, it's on YouTube. Go to the Full Release channel on YouTube, The Full Release, and please shoot us an email. Let us know what you think at thefullreleasepodcast@gmail.com. And without further ado, I'm going to give this little munchkin a kiss here. Mwah!
All right, stay tuned.
I am hard.
No, he's not.
I'm not. Krystyna Hutchinson, coming up.
I wanted to have you both on the podcast, probably individually, because I feel like you both have separate things to offer, and together is great. But we've wanted to talk to a urologist specifically because we get so many dick questions, and we're like, you're asking the wrong lady.
What is the most common dick question that you guys get?
Well, for men, it's like sometimes guys don't understand why they can't get hard when they really like a girl and they haven't had sex with them for the first time. And I'm like, it's nerves. Like just like a woman's stuff works with nerves. From the research we've done, nerves.
Oh yeah, for sure.
As a guy, and I've talked to a lot of friends about this too. It's like how bad you think a woman will react to you going soft is so much worse than, like, I've never really had a bad reaction from a woman in that regard, but I'm always like, it's gonna be insane. She's gonna kick me out of here. She's gonna tell all her friends. And usually women are like, we're just hanging out.
It happens. Fine. Well, that's why it's like, get good with your tongue and your fingers, and you really can't go wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you read the note that she leaves me on my pillow before every night that we lie down together? That's actually what she writes.
Yeah,
Get going with your tongue and your fingers, and you can't go anything wrong. I mean, that's actually, we have that written on our wall.
No, I will say though, and this is TMI, and Mo doesn't need me to share this, but
whoa, well, then maybe don't.
Well, he doesn't drink, and that is like,
what a loser.
I know, right? That's what my sponsor says.
No, but what I mean is, in all the people I've dated, he has probably the least problems in that department, and I
oh, that's good.
Just a shout out to the.
I had massive performance anxiety. Like I one time in college, I remember it happened where I was like having sex with this girl, and I was like, I really remember thinking this feels so good. Like I've been wanting to have sex with this girl for so long, and then I just saw this like look on her face of just like, what's going on? Yeah, and I came out of it. I was like, oh shit! Like I'm like totally soft right now. Like I was so drunk, it didn't even occur to me, and it fucked me up for like years. That I was worried that was going to happen again.
Yeah, there's so much emphasis on the dick, and I just feel like there doesn't need to be, because then when something like that happens, you got plan B, plan C, plan D. Like you got all, you have alternative things.
No, and that's something, I mean, as somebody who is a professional dick optimizer, I, theoretically you would say, oh, that's, I would just
sounds
be
like the coolest transformer ever.
but I mean, I'll say to people like, with the tools that I have, we can make, you hard no matter what. That's fine. But you always have to have that conversation. Like, sex is not penetration, and intimacy and a relationship are not sex. And so what are your goals? Because there are people who I've talked to and they come out of it saying like, wow, me and my wife have like amazing sex and intimacy, and we don't actually need this stuff. Right. And so that is like all part of it, so I'm a proponent of erections, but at the same time,
Same.
it's one piece of the equation.
One thing I wanted to ask you about though is, and I was asking Ashley about this, we were kind of trying to figure out what we want to talk to you about is, you guys market your podcast as an anti-slut shaming podcast. And I was asking Ashley, like, if she can remember being slut shamed or the first time that she experienced that. And, cause I certainly remember doing that. And that being just like a major thing that like just to like, and embarrassingly so, but it was just like, as a guy, like I didn't get laid in high school. No girls were trying to fuck me, but for some reason it was like, you could weaponize that at that age, or just with your friend, you would just talk shit. And for some reason it was something that seemed warranted, it's so ridiculous. But in the 15-year-old
also
male
masculinity
mind,
is the way masculinity is pushed in Western culture is such a disservice to men. Because
100%.
men are so much more than that, but you're kind of encouraged to have your value be parallel to getting pussy. And it's like, right. Oh my God, men are like made out to be this one-dimensional thing, which is, I don't know if you guys know Liz Plank, but she wrote this amazing book called For the Love of Men, that the way she talks about how men really got fucked over with the masculinity thing. I mean, it's bad on both sides, but it really opened my eyes to like, okay, I understand like you saying like, I used to slut shame. Like it makes total sense. Yeah.
Well, it's like even more than just like we got fucked over because we are defined by our masculinity. Then we do this stupid thing where we want to have sex with women, but at a certain age, we're making women feel bad if they're having sex with men. So it's like a double disservice. Like, what the fuck are you? Why
You're
are
only
you
supposed
saying
to fuck me?
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think when I think back to like when we were, I mean, you're almost 40, I'm 36. I feel like when we were coming of age, like, I didn't remember, sex ed ever talking about these kind of topics, right? Like, how do you talk about sexuality in a healthy way? How do you not stigmatize women? How do you build men up to be respectful, right? Like what we learned was, put the condom on a banana and like STDs and, So I don't remember any like productive dialogue, and that's not to excuse any of it. I just hope that is kind of trickling down so that, when the 15-year-old version of Mo is raised today, like I hope he's not slut shaming because I know right? Mo, and he's like, he's a really great guy.
I mean, 15. I mean, it was a long time ago. Time ago. But I was telling Ashley, I remember saying something like slut shaming in front of my dad, who's a wonderful guy and is the farthest from ever saying like that, when I was like 16. And it was, not only did he reprimand me, it was how I found out that my parents were probably having anal sex.
Wow. Do tell.
Okay. So there was this, I was always such a pussy in high school. I was afraid to talk to girls. I was like, 4'11". I was like this teeny little guy, it took me forever to grow. So I was like
4'11".
Yeah. My freshman year of high school. Yeah, thank God. This would not be happening. I would not be sitting here.
You're probably right.
Men might slut shame, but women height shame like a motherfucker. And that's
they do. Yeah, Kurt and I don't. I never understood that, but yeah, it that is something that goes around.
Huge.
So
yeah.
I was so my dad was he was always trying to encourage me to like talk to girls and stuff. And I remember one time I went to the pharmacy and he was getting something and there's this girl behind the counter who helped him. And she was known as like a promiscuous girl or whatever. And she was really nice, whatever. My dad goes, why don't you ask her out? And I didn't want to tell him like, she's not going to fucking go out with me. Like, there's no way. She dates like this gangster guy. Like, it's not going to happen. But I was like, she's like, she's like, she's like a slut. And my dad's like, what do you mean? And I go, she had anal sex. My dad's like, everyone has anal sex. A lot of people have anal sex. I was like, oh, okay. Well,
copy that. I gotta go, Dad.
Right. Exactly.
So, like when I was in high school, I was so shy. Like I remember, in fact, right before we had this pre-graduation party where a lot of kids like hooked up and stuff. I remember my mom specifically being like, "Stop being such a prude, Ashley." Like that was like they.
That's good.
Yes, she did. Yeah,
I was slut shamed a lot by I remember in 7th grade was the first time that stood out. I wore like those low rise Britney Spears jeans And
Oh yeah.
and my 7th grade math teacher came up to me and said, "You're dressed like a slut. You need to change." And I was like,
No
"Oh, you're a
way.
bitch." I cried. I was like, "You're the meanest, Mrs. Kelly." And then
God.
Oh, it was a
And then-
female.
yeah. Yep.
Wow.
That's yeah.
Isn't it
and
amazing you
talk
think
about-
back on like things from your childhood? Because I mean, I know I'm a little older than you, but we both kind of grew up around that same sort of time. Like, there's so many moments like that where you're like, oh, if we were born now, our parents would sue the school.
Oh, or I would have stood up for myself, if anything.
Yeah.
I would have been
Right,
like,
right,
"Oh,
right.
that's cute. Say it again," and like film or something. And then my mom, wild turn of events. So I had my first boyfriend at 15 is when I met him. I lost my virginity to him at 16. My mom asked me in a restaurant. We were out to eat. It was me, my mom, my grandmother, and my brother's. Sorry, my dog. Kevin, one sec. My brother's girlfriend. We were all out to eat, and my mom asked me if I was a virgin, basically. And I didn't want to lie. And I said no. And she got up, left the restaurant. She was our ride. So I had to call my dad to pick us up. She didn't talk to me for a week.
Shit.
And I was so upset because I knew what I did wasn't wrong though. But I was like,
Yeah.
like, why would you do that? And then it just, it happened. But when I went to New York, I had like the rotation. So like a New York girl, I moved here when I was 19 and then obviously I've been here ever since, but your 20s with that rotation in New York City, when you're like comfortable with the city. Oh my God.
Well, what's the rotation? Fill me in on that. What does that mean?
Like 3 or 4 guys. For me, it was like 3 or 4-ish guys that I was really comfortable with, that I'd hook up with regularly. We weren't dating, but we had really good sex, and I had crushes on all of them. And it was the best time because I would go out and I'm like, I don't know who I'm going home with, but it's gonna be fun. And it was like this treasure chest. It was my favorite time.
I had a period of time when I was like, it was like spinning plates, if you will, like that was the somebody, yeah, it was great. But
I didn't hit that till I was in my mid-30s.
And it makes you better in bed too.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
The more sex you have, the better you are at it.
Have you ever had this experience, like for both of you, where you hook up with someone that you haven't hooked up in a long time? Maybe you hook up with an ex again after you've gone through that like rotation phase, and like, God damn, you're pretty good. Like, how did you learn that?
yeah, or there.
It wasn't that. It
Or
was-
they're really good.
Yeah, no, I did that. I've only done that once, and I've always wanted that to happen because I just wanted to see like how does it feel? And it wasn't as good as I remembered. And I'm like, oh, I put this guy on a pedestal. Ugh.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, you were like, you had only been playing in like Little League, and then like you were up in the big leagues, like, oh, okay, you're really not, yeah.
It's
like-
good.
Yeah.
So my parents, it was kind of like the opposite. Like my parents, I remember them telling me stories about when they were younger. Like my dad definitely lost his virginity at 15, like in a cornfield. And
It's the way to do
and
it.
like I didn't lose my virginity till I was 20. Like I was a junior in college. I was so and it was fine. Like I wasn't trying and failing at it. Like I just wasn't ready. And I had a boyfriend actually for a long time in college who didn't pressure me. And when I think back on that now, like that we dated for probably over a year in college before we had sex.
That
and
is
he
incredible.
never pressured me.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
the guy
amazing.
was incredible. He was just such a.
Did he grow up to be gay or
No, he's
a
married.
monk?
He's married to a woman.
Wow.
He's
Nice.
yeah.
Isn't
that's-
that so
that's a
funny how
unicorn.
low our bar is? Like he's the most
I know.
amazing man. He didn't pressure me to fuck him when I
pressure
didn't.
me to, I know.
All right.
That's
Like
sad.
we were making out, blowjobs, like we were doing all this stuff. I just like never felt ready, and he didn't even like he didn't. But anyway, so my parents would tell all their stories, and we were just like, oh yeah, Dad lost his virginity at 15 in a cornfield. It was
Wow.
just the thing to do.
You come from legends.
Yeah, I guess so.
I can't believe your dad lost Virginia at 15. He is a sweet man, but he is a I mean, like when I go out there for the holidays, he leaves. He's retired now, but he would leave for work with 4 different laptops and 4 different backpacks.
He's the ultimate nerd.
He's like the biggest
ultimate
like,
nerd.
engineer. He would
this
just
is-
walk out with these like 4 different laptops. Like, there's not an easier way to do this. You have to.
Oh, that's so cute.
Look, I think if my dad grew up now instead of in like the 50s or whatever, he would have been in like an online gaming
Oh,
community.
he'd be slaying it.
And
yeah.
he would have just been like doing other shit. But like he didn't. I mean, if you grew up in like rural America before the internet, I mean, like what were you doing? I don't know.
Drugs
and
Probably having
fucking.
sex.
Yeah.
Apparently fucking in cornfields.
Yeah, exactly. So
Well, we have a question that we want to jump into, get your thoughts on it. We have, fans write in. You could, guys, if you're listening, you could always write into at thefullreleasepod@gmail.com, or you can call us, leave a message at, what is it again?
213-631-3. I don't know. This is 213.
It's the first time you've ever forgot.
This
You
is the
really
first
are
time.
nervous.
I'm really nervous.
Well, anyway, it's 213 something. You just hit the
631-3460.
There it is, 3460.
Wow,
Yeah.
I've
Nice.
literally never done that.
I know. But anyway, so this question is interesting because part of this question is in regard to, we did an episode about sexual surrogates, which are, when someone is trying to work through something sexually, they'll find someone who, through various physical ways, generally physical, can help them get comfortable sexually and stuff again.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you guys have ever talked to anybody like that. I think it's a fascinating thing. I didn't really know much about it, but we did an episode about it, and then this gentleman wrote in. You want me to read it?
Sure, you can read it.
Okay.
It's a long question.
It's a
so
long
there's a
question.
lot
We're
of
kind of trying to
here.
dissect it, and it goes somewhere pretty surprising. I was surprised when I got to the end. So thank you for your extremely informative episode on sex surrogacy. First of all, this is something you as a podcaster might be able to relate to. It's so nice to me that he starts out like that because we got the most vitriolic, hateful email after that episode.
On the same exact episode.
On the same topic, and they're like, you did such a horrible job talking about sexual surrogacy. Ashley's been on Dan Savage's column a few times, and Dan's been on this podcast, and he's the best.
Godfather.
The Godfather.
And let me tell you, when our primary reference, because we didn't have anybody who was a sexual surrogate on the episode, was just a article from the peer-reviewed journal, Journal of Sexual Medicine, and it was a very pro-sexual surrogacy article, and we were referencing that and talking about it, and yes, it made some people liked it, and other people got really pissed
But
about it.
I was going to say, I feel like
don't know.
once Ashley started doing some of the Dan Savage column and stuff, some of the fan base that came over some of them don't get that we're like trying to do comedy, like a comedy kind of sex show. And so,
Story of my life.
Exactly. And they have no sympathy they're just like so black and white about certain things.
Yep.
I'm sure you guys get that all the time.
We get that all the time. And we try,
Right.
and now we've coined this term lovingly, where we tell our audience they're being a dumb bitch when they're with certain things. And it's caught on to the point where they'll email us and be like, I pulled a real dumb bitch move, but this is what I did. I'm like, okay, now we are on an understanding of the vernacular. So I feel like that has deterred them from being a party pooper and taking all the fun away from Crit and I's comedy.
Right. Yeah, because you're like at a certain point, you're like, well, then just Google the shit if you just want the straight up facts. Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
I feel like Dan's actually good at doing that on his own podcast. We're calling people out on,
Dan's pieces of advice I take with me for like the rest of my life. Like Dan's the phrases he uses are like price of admission and
really good.
And like all that stuff is just such it's very easy to grasp. And my brother's going through a bad breakup right now, and I was on the phone with him the other night for 5 hours, and I was using these words that Dan because I've been listening to Dan Savage forever, and it really helped him. He's like, Nina, I've been thinking about what you said, the price of admission. I don't know if I'm willing to pay that. I'm like, that's great. Like Dan really has a wonderful way with words.
Oh, so great. I know. Half the reason I feel like I listen to his podcast is because I'll hear the question and then I'll think to myself, okay, like what would I tell this person to do? And then I listen to see what he tells them to do. And I'm like, how different is that advice? And how much better was his
it's so
advice
thoughtful.
than
I'd
my
love to see
advice?
his process. Like, he must sit there and write that out or really think about it. Or maybe he's just answered everything at this point, but it's impressive.
Yeah. Well, anyway, should we get into our question?
Okay, yeah. So anyway, the guy thank you, sir, for having the sense of mind to like that episode. Okay, I am looking for a female surrogate partner to help me with issues around intimacy, relationships, sexuality, communication, and establishing an ethical, non-monogamous relationship. I am seeking help and guidance to improve my ability to create healthy relationships with women. I want to engage in a client surrogate process where we create a mini relationship with a beginning, middle, and end. I'm a 68-year-old African-American male, happily married for 28 years to the love of my life. There's only one small problem. We have a libido mismatch, and that leaves me unfulfilled in a sexless marriage. I have always had a high sex drive. My wife had a low sex drive. Over the years, things have gotten worse, and since menopause, she has no interest in sex. I'm looking for ways to stay sexually active without violating our agreement for sex outside the marriage. So, first of all,
there's more to the question.
There's more to the question, but kudos to this to this dude for not just violating those vows, as I'm sure an insanely
very
high
much
percentage of
kudos,
people.
and for knowing what he wants and knowing that it's okay to ask for it. Like if your libidos are mismatched, the difference between a relationship, romantic relationship, and a friendship is the sex.
Right.
So
Exactly.
It's fair of him to ask that. So that's a good email.
before we move on with the question, what do you think is like the responsibility of this guy's wife in this situation? Like if you're married and she has no sex drive, but you are married and your husband has a strong sex, I mean, is there a responsibility to play that role? I kind of feel like there is.
Yeah, I mean, you can't rely on one person to fulfill every single need you have. That's too much pressure. However, as far as sex, that's your partner. Yeah, absolutely. So if I had a mismatch libido with a partner, if I wanted to have sex way less than he did, I have a cuckolding fetish though too, so it's like that's kind of cheating. But
let's go into that
because I'm like, oh yeah, go fuck her. I don't care. Tell me about it.
Wait, do you really? Is that really? Wow,
Oh, yeah.
I want to hear. It's funny because we had a guy on the podcast. We were talking to him one time, and he was saying that like, yeah, he's done the thing where he's watched his wife have sex with other people.
Yeah,
and I just like that is one where I just cannot get my mind around.
You either think it's super hot or you're like, absolutely not. But I think it's super hot, and I've tried it, and I confirmed that yes, indeed, it is great.
You've done it in the room?
Oh yeah. Yeah, my ex of 7 years and I would do that. We would have 3-ways with girls. But it's so funny because he heard me talk about it on Guys We Fucked. He edited the podcast at the time and I didn't tell him. And he was like, hey, you want to tell me about this little fetish that you have suddenly? I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably tell you, huh? And then it took a long time to unfold. I move very slow with sex stuff in terms of like sexual, something I haven't done before. I have to move very, very slow. That's my pace and I'm okay with that. But so I let him know that. And then eventually we would take girls out on dates. And then, yeah, it was great. And it bonded us because I feel like when you go on a sexual adventure with your partner, it makes you closer.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so, and I know one of the things, if we're saying what Dan Savage would say about this, because I know he's gotten questions like this before, it was that, there are so many ways to communicate about these sort of things. So it could be what you're talking about. There are other things like you can do, like assisted masturbation, meaning, you know, that if you're feeling horny and you want to get off, but I don't want to have sex, it doesn't mean we necessarily have sex. Like, I can, hold my boobs and you can jerk off on me. And like, there's, and there are ways you can like say, I'm going to engage with you in a sexual way that doesn't make me have to have sex. Right. And
absolutely.
So if you're the one who's like not, let's say, comfortable with, bringing another person into it or, but you do have some responsibility as a partner to say, you have a higher drive than me. What is a way that we can meet that?
Right.
Or is that a price of admission that is not going to work and we have to go separate ways because I'm not as horny as you and I don't want to let you have your horniness.
Right. Which is unfair.
That's unfair.
But there's so many options. It's like, oh, if you want to have another person involved, what about camming? Like, what about start with that, like digitally? There's
it's interesting you said because
the other I want to say that I have to always harp on is he was saying that things have gotten worse since menopause, and I think one of
get a doctor.
This is the thing. I get very passionate about.
Don't ever use that against a woman.
Oh no! She. This is good. This is good stuff.
No. So, just to say, right? We should not take women and say, okay, they've gone through menopause, they're not horny anymore, and it's over, right? You should. He might want to talk to his wife and say, do you want to see somebody about that, right? Like there are many women who have what we call, hypoactive sexual desire associated with low hormones from menopause. And it's not something to stigmatize, right? So if somebody is done with menopause and they have low hormone milieu, low testosterone, and they don't want to they don't want medication over that, then that's fine. Yeah. But it is very treatable. And I see this all the time, and it is safe and effective to give people appropriate menopause hormone management, and that can oftentimes, improve their lubrication, improve their libido, improve their desire, and, restore that. And
I feel like that's something few women know, because until I was dating you and married you and doing this podcast, like I never knew that there were chemical ways, like the same way men take Viagra, the same kind of thing that women could take at that age. I just feel like you don't ever see ads about that, Well,
that's because the medical industry doesn't give a shit about a woman's sexual pleasure. I mean, if you think about high school sex ed, what sex education program ever covered a female orgasm. They don't, because it's not necessary to conceive. They're just worried about you getting pregnant, and you, as a result, you don't have any respect for sex. You're taught not to have respect for it, which is such a shame, because if you have respect for it and you take it seriously, but that still doesn't mean taking all the fun out of it. The sky's the limit, and it's such a shame, that lack of knowledge. I didn't know that either about menopause.
It's crazy. I mean, well, also just women stuff and testosterone. Like, I could go off on this. I mean, Mo knows, because I go off on this all the time. Like, okay.
I mean, on the podcast, it's just
no. Okay, but right. So,
not this at like the dinner table. Oh, a little bit.
Well,
of that
I do shout about sex
and then
stuff
another thing.
at the dinner.
That is the funny thing about being married to a urologist. Like, we'll be eating dinner and Ashley will be like, God, this guy's rectum was so compacted today. I'm just like, just please.
And we're like at a restaurant.
Just a little bit of
just
like as a comedian, I'm used to being the one who's saying obnoxious things in public at like dinner tables on dates. This is like the first time it's, I'm way outdone. I'm like,
you're met your match.
Just trying to respect our people around us, please.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But circling back to the hormones, right?
Yeah.
So both men and women have more testosterone than they have estrogen in their body, men and women alike. So women have less testosterone than men, but they still have more testosterone than they have estrogen. And estrogen is a product of testosterone. And it's super important for women's libido, both premenopause and postmenopause. And this is something also, is so there's so little awareness about, is like, for example, like oral contraceptive pills lower women's testosterone levels. That's why.
Yeah. Oh, I had terrible birth control, annihilated my everything, my identity, my sex drive, and it made me absolutely psycho. And my gynecologist, a woman, I said to her before I went on birth control, like, I had like a 3-year break. She asked me, are you on birth control? And I go, nah, it makes me crazy. And she goes, are you sure? I'm like, am I sure? Yes. Fuck you. Like, that's the other thing. I'm like, oh my God. Like, and people don't, that needs to be a widely known thing, that if you're on birth control and it makes you psycho, I know that's not the clinical term, that's something to watch out for and to, get off of it.
Like, it doesn't work for you. Yeah, for sure. But no, and this is, I mean, women are all the time, right, put on birth control for acne. And the reason they're put on it for acne is because it suppresses your testosterone, which is testosterone leads to hormonal based acne. So you're taking something that's like, you wouldn't take like young men and just kind of chemically suppress their puberty and their hormones and all this stuff, right? And this is like so wild. And I'm super pro
castration.
birth control. Right. I mean, I'm super pro birth control. I'm super pro reproductive stewardship. But, there has to be the appropriate amount of education. And the average young woman who started on birth control isn't told, hey, this might make it so that sex is painful. You have no libido. You feel emotionally, unregulated, like all this stuff. And you might not even know it because you're put on it before you ever become sexually active. So from the time you start puberty, you are, your natural libido and lubrication, all this stuff has been suppressed, and you never knew life without that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a sexual life without that. And it is so prevalent. But
that's so weird. That's like, it's like the sexual equivalent of if you started out your life on antidepressants or something.
Yeah.
And you just had no idea like what your natural, zone is.
Yeah.
Right.
Your natural chemicals. You got to give people a chance.
Right.
Yeah. Just give them a chance to fuck natural, free range fucking. We need some free range fucking before you really kind of tone it down.
But so, when you go through menopause, basically your hormone levels go down and women's testosterone levels go down, and there are huge, wide studies, like meta-analyses showing that in women who are postmenopausal, who have what we call hypoactive sexual desire disorder, low sexual desire, that giving them testosterone is a very effective treatment for that. And not like men's level testosterone, right? Not like
you'll grow a dick.
Right.
I mean, it depends what you're into. That could actually really solve a lot of your issues. If that's why you're in a sexless
your gender
marriage.
identity. Yeah, of course. But
for sure. Yeah.
If you just want to fuck more,
If you're closetly gay and you're married to a woman, try to sneak some testosterone into her meals. Eventually she'll grow a dick, and that really solves a lot of the issues right there.
There you go.
There you go.
Would you recommend that? No.
I did have a woman once who was being put on testosterone, and the person who was giving it to her they were not giving it to her at the lady dosing. They were giving it to her on like the guy dosing, and she was not trans, she was not trans. Like
she wasn't trying to do a gender. Yeah, right.
Right. And she had like a very large clitoris. Like it was very large, but that was like, but at normal doses,
biggest clit in the game.
Like, yes. And I was like, how much are you getting? How much are you getting? And she was like,
wow,
no, this much.
Your clit will get big if you just chug testosterone.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, so female to male trans people who are put on high levels of testosterone, you'll get enlargement of your clitoris so much that you can even get like a certain type of surgery. It's called a metoidoplasty, where you're not like given a totally kind of transplanted penis. They actually just kind of rearrange some of the skin around your clitoris, and you kind of have like a small penis that gets.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is the thing, right? Like a clitoris and a penis the tissue is the same. It's just different sizes.
Yeah.
So it's responsive to testosterone. So you can get a big old clit.
Wow, good to know.
Yeah. But
now the ball's in your court.
I guess.
But anyway,
get on that tee.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, the point being, like, this guy, maybe his wife wants to be hornier and she just hasn't been given the tea.
Right. That the opportunity to explore that.
Yeah. Okay. But he, interestingly enough, this kind of dovetails into, we were talking about like sexual, the guilt and the kind of like slut shaming and stuff. This sounds like he still has some of that in regard to masturbation. Because he was saying, I'm already working with a sexual, so he's in this marriage, he's not having sex yet. I'm already working with a sex educator therapist who recommended a surrogate partner to help me transition from partnered sex to solo sex. I grew up Catholic and was taught masturbation was a sin, and now I'm in need of a high level of support to overcome major sexuality issues and heal past traumas, which blows my mind. That at 68,
Catholicism fucks you up. I didn't grow up with a religion, thank God. But I have heard some of the most horrific shaming stories from churches, from all in the name of Catholicism. That's the one, from my experience of what I've heard, is like the most brutal when it comes to sexual pleasure of any kind. What a disservice. It's such a disservice.
And it's such a like obvious thing that it's like the one that is the most repressive and the most sexist, has the most sex scandals by far. And it's just like,
it's always the senator that's the loudest against sex work is the one with all the sex workers in his hotel room.
Yeah. Yeah. But we were saying it is amazing that somebody could reach the age of 68 and kind of have a masturbation hang up, like you think of these things as things of your youth, but people are still struggling with them.
It's like those deep early shame things can just fuck people up for the rest of their lives. So anyway, he ends by saying, I need to help rebuild my sexual confidence, my self-confidence, communication skills, relationship skills. I'm interested in the social skills development, how to navigate the internet to find a virtual sex partner, because I'm only looking for online interaction.
Oh, good.
So that's what he's looking for. But then he kind of, I guess, misinterpreted what Ashley's job is, because he says, I'm retired on a fixed income. I'm looking for someone willing to work with me on a pro bono or at a reduced rate, $50 an hour, in exchange for the experience of working with a unique and intriguing client. I believe this experience will not only help establish a process for men who find themselves in similar situations, but will also help people stuck in long-distance relationships. If this request does not work for you, please feel free to share it with whoever it might be interested in helping me through this challenging time in my life. So, babe, ball's in your court now.
Yeah, that's not.
Do you want to?
Urologists do a lot of things. They don't do that.
I'm assuming he is interested in you on this one, but
maybe you can.
I don't know. I have a lot of time. I'm not being able to tour so much.
So yeah.
But to this gentleman, Ashley does not do sexual surrogacy.
No.
So I don't know. How would you recommend somebody to find that?
To find a sexual surrogate? Oh, I actually don't know that answer. I don't know how to find one. I would take to the internet to Google, but surrogate, because that's a way more specific thing, because you're working through an issue.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I wonder if they have male sex surrogates. I've had sex with a male sex worker. It was top notch, gotta say.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Noam Dorman, the owner of the Comedy Cellar, bought me a prostitute.
Wow.
Wait,
we had a bet.
Yeah.
We had a bet, and he said a woman would never want to hire a male sex worker. And I go, bullshit. And he goes, that's not true. And I was with my boyfriend at the time. He's like, if you break up with your boyfriend, if you ever break up, come to me and I'll buy you whoever you want. And like the next day after I broke up with my ex, I was like, no, give me my prostitute. And but sex workers are, number one, good at what they do. And it's just more comfortable. It's because there's no, what's this going to be? What is it going to, it was wonderful. I can't recommend it enough. And I know there's a market for that with straight women and straight male sex workers. Like there's a huge market for that because sometimes
they tried to do like a, but well, first of all, I mean, kudos to this guy for going, talk about a performance anxiety type situation. If someone is paying you to have sex with them, like for him, he had no, I mean, obviously he didn't have performance issues or whatever because he's a sex worker, but I think they had they tried to open a Mustang Ranch type thing for straight women out in Nevada, and it didn't work for some reason. No one came. Yeah,
a ranch. You know,
maybe the ranch is the wrong setting.
I think that's the wrong way to do the business. I feel like with me, there's this website that I went on to because we interviewed the guy who owns it a while ago, and we're like, they're escorts, but I'm like, well, they fuck, and he's like, no, and I was like, okay, got it. So you just go online, there's headshots and there's a little bio, and then you pick them. Like that's better. I don't want to pick somebody in front of other people. Women feel bad about everything. I'd be like, I'm sorry. It's no offense. It's just, I don't want that. I want an online catalog and I want to pick.
No, that's
a very good point. I've seen those like movies or documentaries where there's like a string of women and the guy's like that one, but like, yeah, do you walk off being like, sorry?
Yeah, right. Like he didn't pick me, but
so sorry.
I won't take it personal.
Right. Because how do you not take that personally?
I don't know. I would.
100% you would.
Yeah, I think, with the sex surrogate thing, I think probably it's something, because that's not like in a formal, like legally sanctioned form of therapy in the United States, right? It's going to be hard to find it through a traditional way. Like the article that we had been talking about back when we did that episode was referencing the paradigm like in Israel where it's legal to have a sex surrogate. And what will happen would be like, let's say you have really bad premature ejaculation and you don't have a partner to work through it with. And that's a barrier also to you getting a partner, right?
Yeah.
And so you can have a sex therapist say, okay, I will like prescribe you a sex surrogate. And this is somebody who's like a licensed professional, and you guys can like have a room in the therapy office and basically say like, okay, we're going to work through this and like engage in XYZ like physical acts, but that person is like specifically like, they're not your therapist, they're not your shrink, they're not your doctor, they're like specifically for that role. And it's a really interesting idea, and I think that it's something, it sounds like a significant number of people benefit from. We just don't have that in our system here, which is
such a I mean, that makes sense with all the rules and attitudes about sex that we have. And also too, though, I know because I've read articles and I've talked to a few people, sex surrogates that have sex with their clients are usually disabled, so they have physical disabilities, and they just want to explore sex with somebody who is more than open and willing and patient and all the things. I'm like, that is what a beautiful service that is.
Yeah,
100%. So to close out with this dude's question, like, first of all, I would just say like, I admire that kind of proactive, being comfortable enough and knowing what you need to live the life that you want to live, and that you're proactively searching for it, because so many people, I can think of relatives who are just in like sexless, seemingly miserable marriages. This guy doesn't sound miserable at all, but they do nothing about it and they just wait to die, and it's so sad. It's like so I admire this guy for like trying to find that, search out for what he needs. It's too bad you're too selfish to help him with it. Right,
yeah,
I bet
it really is not cool.
I bet he would go on an app or like a dating website and kind of say, this is what I'm looking for. I think that with the internet, there is someone for everybody. And I think probably,
I'm sure.
Like, if he's like, I'm looking for somebody to, like assist me, like, in getting to know me, staying virtual, like help me, whatever, through sexual experiences and like, touching myself and normalizing that for me. Like, I think there are people out there who was the woman doing that.
We got hit up by somebody to do their podcast one time, and then it ultimately didn't happen. But we looked them up online, and this woman was a humiliation specialist, or what was it?
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, like a dom.
But through
just through audio.
Yeah, like you would just call
Yeah.
her. And
Like
she
you would
she
buy her
just
tapes
insult
and
you.
we
Yeah.
listened to a few of them and we
Yeah.
were just like, whoa.
Oh yeah, we interviewed a girl on for Guys We Fucked. Oh, what the fuck is her name? It was so long ago. She sold her poop in a Tupperware container for $500. First of all, and I'm like, wow,
No way.
Like
uh-huh.
continue,
she owns
like
2
consistently.
homes. Yeah.
Wow.
And but she has a line. She has another cell phone that she'll give guys access to. If I get, I don't know what the payment system. I forget what the payment system she worked out, but they'll call her and she'll just yell at them and insult them. And I'm like, oh my god, that's like what a dream.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
dream
everyone's
job.
winning. She's having a great time.
Oh,
And
amazing.
They want it. So
That's what I was thinking when I was listening to her. We listened to a few like the free ones. I was like, this is so vitriolic. Like, how does she? I mean, yes, you're right. She is doing a good service in a sense, but you're saying the most horrific, hateful things.
have you ever heard of a pay peg?
No, what's
No.
that?
Oh, so that's I've had a couple friends do that where the guy will pay Venmo you money and then you call him right away and just say like, that's all you got, you fucking pathetic loser. Like bully,
Oh.
like straight up bully. And he'll keep going and keep giving you money. And I'm like, wow, again, there's a lane for everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
did-
how does that lane come about? I mean, that is so bizarre to me.
I
You
don't know. I don't
Combining
know.
two things I like the least, which is paying for things and being insulted.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely.
I
And
would-
we've
I mean-
had like one of the weirdest, or not weirdest, but like one of the most unique turn-ons that I've heard so far. It was from a woman who we read her email because I was like, no way she's the only one. Because with doing this for so long, you're truly not the only one who likes what you like. She could only come when she masturbates to videos of women giving birth, and she
Whoa.
needs to see the vaginal birth. If they shit on the table, that's better. And I was like, hey, I got nothing. I don't know what to tell you, but I wanted to read this email to see if, and then the episode aired. Within the first day of the episode airing, we got at least 20 emails of like, holy shit, I'm not the only one. All from women who, and I'm talking graphic birth videos, because like, this is not like fetishizing and sexualizing a pregnant woman in this like powerful, nothing to do with the grossness of birth that gets them off.
Wow.
But see, that's so weird because that sounds very strange to me, but it almost is like makes a lot of sense in a weird evolutionary biological sense. Like if sex leads to that, like that somehow having a connection, even though for most people that's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to say about that one. I don't.
I didn't either. I didn't either.
Do you think it's
not? I saw birth in med school. It did not.
Didn't
I
do
was
anything for you?
terrified, and I caught the baby, and the poop smelled bad, and that was it.
Nothing about it sounds sexy to me, but especially you've told me things where like, yeah, sometimes I got to cut that skin to get the baby
No,
out.
I
It's
mean,
just like,
I was saying
oh,
my
God.
my GYN. I mean, it's so long ago at this point. I mean, this was like 2008 or 2009. Like I did GYN, like OB was the last time I saw any of that stuff. But it was. I mean, it was like actually a very emotionally like traumatizing rotation. And I was saying to Mo, like, I think it was the only time maybe in med school that I absolutely broke down crying. And that was because one time a woman came in to give birth who had a female circumcision, and she,
God.
I mean, it was just the most, and they had to undo it to get the child out. And
She gave birth vaginally?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And they had to open it up, and it was just like seeing how a woman's body was so, mutilated, and how
Ugh.
she had very clearly in her life never been able to experience certain things.
Pleasure.
Uh,
Yeah.
And it was just, I don't know. It was so one of the saddest things, like gut-wrenchingly emotional
Yeah.
things.
That's
and
an
then I think when it was,
extremely cruel thing to do to a human being, especially in the name of religion, family, love. Like it's so the opposite of that.
and also I remember actually that she had a concern because it had to be opened up to get the child out, about being put back together, because she was worried that
Hey guys, a little break here because we got a phone call in the middle of the Zoom and it kind of fucked up the sound. So going forward with the episode, there's just the sound might be a little wonky. Just bear with us. There's a lot of great stuff. And how great is Krystyna, right? Fucking awesome. So please keep listening to the rest of the episode. You will enjoy it. And again, sorry for the fuck up on the audio. We pay $7 million an episode to produce this podcast. So you would think this wouldn't happen, but hey, mistakes, I guess. What can you do?
But not the easiest topic just to dive right back into.
No, but anyway, she had asked basically after the birth she'd be put back together, and the thought that a woman would be concerned that she would be kind of unlovable or unattractive without being mutilated was just so devastating. This was such a tangent on this, but
it's the things that that's why I'm like, people a lot of times ask me, like, is there, you ever run out of things to say, talk about with sex, but you really don't when it comes to specifically women and the shit they go through in various countries, cultures, religions is mind blowing. And I didn't understand. I was very naive to how common rape is and child molestation. We've said this a lot, like, we've had thousands of emails from women who were raped, and to the point where I would call Corinne like the year 1, 2, 3 of the podcast and be like, oh my God, like what's happening? Why? This is a really big problem. And I started volunteering at Bellevue Hospital. I did this training program where you can be a voluntary advocate you're basically part of somebody's medical team. If somebody comes into the ER for sexual assault or domestic violence, and you get trained, the Manhattan DA comes in, talks to you, like you're the person's middleman. But I'm like, first of all, that's a volunteer position. Most hospitals don't have that program. And if they don't have that volunteer, this patient is going into the ER with no knowledge. The doctor's not going to be like, all right, here's your options for legal, but if you don't want to press charges yet, you have this much time to decide, and all this shit. And then the Me Too movement, we were so relieved to have that conversation on a bigger scale and to have all this terrible behavior be exposed and say, yeah, this is what we go through. And one of the things that came out of that legally was they now keep the DNA kits for rape survivors for 20 years. So they had to redo all the refrigerator systems and stuff. So they keep those kits for 20 years versus 3 months.
Yeah. I mean,
that's unbelievable.
That is unbelievable. I know.
It's wild.
I know.
I agree with you. Like once the Me Too movement, that was so mind-boggling to me as a guy.
Really?
That's what guys are doing. Like I had no idea.
The men are terrible.
I knew we weren't good, but that blew my mind. I mean, the joke I have in my stand-up act is I'm like, oh, God, if I would have known the bar was that low, I would have been doing way more shit. But it's like, I remember talking to a lot of guys during that time where I was like, dude, I feel like a way better guy than I thought I was.
Yeah. I'm glad, and I'm very glad that men know that this is how vile men can be, because the worst of the worst in men are terrible. Just absolutely vicious, disgusting creatures. And it's such a shame, because a lot of times, the bad people are the loudest, unfortunately. But I'm glad that a lot of men that are great. I have a lot of my close friends are straight men, and I love them to death. They would never do anything like that. But then there's certain little things that they go, oh, I'm not gonna word something quite like that anymore. Just kind of in terms of expectations of sex with women.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was like when you say like how many people were raped or molested. It's like when I hear the statistics, I'm like, it just blows.
It's wild. It's wild, and it makes me so mad that the way that it's being presented, or that has been presented for all this time. I mean, marital rape was legal until like the 70s, I think, one of the last states to make it illegal. Such bullshit, and
that is insane.
Yeah, and yeah, so I'm glad. I'll never not talk about rape and sexual assault, because it's like we got to get real comfortable talking about this casually, because it's how often it happens. It's wild.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was thinking back, like with you coming on, I was thinking about my time in New York and like whatever my experiences, and I was thinking just even the culture of when I was like in the hospital there in residency, and how crazy it was, and how I think I left residency the year the year after, I guess, I was done with residency was when Me Too happened. And I'm like, I think that my whole experience with that training environment would have been different if I had gone through it after that, like in just radically different ways. I mean, just I mean, like the amount of kind of, you know, sex that was happening between like superiors and people like their reportees, and like how much that's like so like not
that's frowned upon, which makes it hotter.
Right. And there are certain things that are like, fine, that you saw this on like Grey's Anatomy and it was actually happening in the hospital, and that was like intriguing. But then you're also just how much of this was, you know, fine, there maybe were certain situations where it was a different department and two people were actually romantically interested in each other, but then other situations where it was like bad, and then also just like overt like sexual assault things happening like that were just like really happening. And, you know, I don't know if those specific, you know, surgeons who had a God complex who were doing that shit like would have thought twice, and maybe they wouldn't have done it. I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
Based on human beings, they probably wouldn't have, but you have to hope they thought it through a little more.
I don't know, but if we live in a world where Harvey Weinstein, like that case and that you know, that the reporting that they did on him started the.
Wait, don't think about it, because I actually was able to get my screenplay into prison, and he's looking at it right now. He's really interested in coming on board.
Well,
so we're just trying to like, we're just trying to say that.
But then, like, okay, so that reporting makes the Me Too movement resurge for I think the second time, which was the most recent time, and then he gets caught at a fucking showcase where a New York City comedian who was raped before has to host. Like you saw, I mean, that happened, what, a year or two ago?
I didn't
you
hear
see
about
that?
Wait,
oh my God. Yeah. He ended up in this, like, God, you know, NBC always does this or like all the bringer shows, like in like Andy Angle. I don't know if you, or you're an LA comic. You never did New York, right?
I like when Comedy Knockout was shooting out there for those 3 years, I was out in New York a lot.
Oh, okay.
So I probably,
like the bringer shows where they're like, there's going to be somebody from NBC here. Like, nah, you know, like that kind of situation. And then Harvey Weinstein was there after everything happened. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And then like Corinne and I knew about Louis C.K. for the whole time, right? Every comic knew, oh, Louis, you know, the story was like, oh, Louis like jerked off in front of two girls and it was weird. Like we knew it was fucked up and assaulty, but I wasn't sure of the details. And then when it came out, it was so funny because Corinne and I were like, yeah, we've kind of known about this, but you know, it sucks. It's not good, but it's this weird, like, you know, you can't get justice in the court system because of the way that the laws are. So how else are you going to get justice? Okay. Social media. Well, is that a fair, you know, I don't think that Louis' special should get taken down at all. Like it's that weird middle ground of like, I'm a comic and I'm a woman. It's like, well, which one wins? And it's like, why can't we just be able to be like, don't do that. That's fucking weird and disgusting and you're gross.
Right. Well, no, I mean, yeah. And I think that, you know, people who, at least the reckoning that has happened, hopefully is to some extent a deterrent, which is, you know, like the ideal thing, not like that people, you know, that there's not like justice, you know, vigilante justice or something, but that people learn to be better than they were. Like,
right.
You know, and you know, like you're saying about the rape kits, which is like really good change. Like
it is a good change, but it's like we hear from people who have been raped, or at least Corinne and I do. We hear from them all the time, and it's important. I try to get my manager to get Louis on the podcast so many times. And he was like, Krystyna, he's not going to do it. I'm like, why not? Like, why can't we just fucking talk about this? Why can't we talk about it? It doesn't make any sense to me why somebody, like, I get where, you know, they want some level of privacy and certain things, but I'm like, look, you're the world's at one point, like, ban them from all the clubs forever. I'm like, I don't think that's a solution either. If you can't talk about something and be like, dude, that was real creepy what you did. Yeah. How long should you pay for that? How long until you are seen in a comedy club? I don't know the answers to that, but I think the start of it is to be able to have a conversation that's like holding this person accountable. And also, like, I want to hear from your perspective because I've heard from the other perspective and it's very damaging. It doesn't seem like any damage is done to you, is it? Like you're the one who just kind of gets off scot-free, and that's the chick that got, you know, Louis jerked off in front of, like, you know, and so it's like there's no balance of of repercussions. It's all all goes on the victim or
but at the same time, like, I feel like we're in this weird position as a society where we don't know what to do with sexual behavior in terms of the forgiveness and the rehabilitation of it. Like, you could murder somebody and then you could apologize to their family and go to jail and do your time and be religious. And people are like more bending over backwards in a certain sense. If it was like you're young as a stupid drug shooting, whatever it is, to like forgive you, you can atone. But we're at this weird place now where, and I don't have any idea what the answer is, but like we have no atonement path for people of sexual.
And I think that anything. Like people get mad at Louis for the hundreds of years that this got ignored. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all of the men that they know, because every woman has had an experience like this or is very close to somebody who has had an experience along the spectrum of sexual assault. So it's like, we're so goddamn sick and tired of like hearing it from our other women, because it's just like, oh my God, this needs to stop. And so it's like, we get mad for the whole thing, which is not, that's not right. And that's like, there are levels to it. The Aziz Ansari article, when I read that, I was like, he doesn't know how to fuck. That's it. Like, that's what's going on. None of them know how to talk and he don't know how to fuck. That's easy. Like, I'm like, easy. Come on, guys. Like, and so, but if that girl in that situation was really upset, I'm not saying you don't have the right to be, but we can find a place in the middle to meet and at least talk, because what is the road for redemption? I don't know. And it's not right to, in my opinion, but that, to just cast somebody away for the rest of their lives because they jerked off in front of someone and it was extremely inappropriate.
So this is, kind of my story with this, and Mo, I've talked to Mo about this before, but so going back to my residency stuff, right? So, I mean, there's so many things, but like the most egregious thing that happened to me was like when I was one day doing surgery, there was an attending who I was operating with, and he was basically twice my age. I mean, he had a son. Yeah, he finished residency the year I was born. Okay. So, and he basically in between cases during the middle of the workday told me like I had to make out with him, and he like stuck his tongue down my throat. Like, I mean, on hospital property. Like,
what the fucking shit?
Yeah. Like legitimate, like full on, like a sexual assault. And the whole thing was so fucked up because, he was like really beloved by like all these other residents and everybody thought he was so cool. And like, I just had like a breakdown and I was trying to not tell anybody about it because he was like a great person to operate with and you didn't want people to not believe you and blah, blah, blah. And like, it came to the point where I was just like, I don't want anything to happen to him. I just don't want to have to work with him. Like, I don't care. I just don't want to. And then I was like refusing to do surgery with him. And I was like a junior resident. And so people, were just like, you can't decide what surgeries you're operating on. Like, the junior resident doesn't get to do that. So then I had to tell somebody. And so then that escalated it. Right. And it was this thing because I felt like it was my responsibility to not make his life bad. Right. Like, even though it's like
common.
The guy's like fucking whatever. Right.
He's
like,
a legend. Everyone loves him. Yeah.
Right. But it's also like, you're like 58 years old or something, or 60 or
also,
whatever.
We're at work.
You know better.
Why are you talking about making out with me? We're operating on a person. What the fuck is your problem? Like, what the fuck?
I saw this documentary, Grey's Anatomy, and it seems like that happens a lot. A lot of fucking shit.
Definitely. And there were consensual, interactions I had with other people, who were other residents and stuff. But that was like, not in the middle of the workday. It was on our own time. Like, it was, that's the key. Yeah, right. Exactly. But the thing that ended up happening, they ultimately asked him to stop operating there and they took away his hospital privileges, but it wasn't, I mean, honestly, the hospital administration was like, this isn't the first time that this has happened with this guy. It's not just you. So it wasn't even like, he had to have that pattern of behavior.
Yeah.
And eventually he ended up writing this like long handwritten letter that he had somebody give to me saying he was sorry. Now, mind you, this guy has his own private practice, was still operating at other hospitals, still working with other residents. Like,
God, I would hate to know what he's doing when a patient's under anesthesia. Gee, and no one's in the room. Jesus Christ.
That is a really good point. That is horrifying to think about. Yeah. Like, do you see that video of some guy in Alaska? He's going to jail for a ton of time. Some patient was he was a dentist, and while the patient was asleep, he was on one of those little hoverboards doing like a TikTok video while taking out this guy's tooth. And somehow it got put up, and the guy's going to jail for like 20 years. But like, was the stupidest reason to ever go to jail.
Dick.
But I mean, yeah, you're right. Like, what the fuck? They could be doing anything. That shit's scary.
But yeah, I mean, so he still had his hospital privileges, still really successful practice. I mean, he's still in practice and very successful. And you know, the reason why I'm bringing this up was, you know, you guys were all kind of talking. What's the end
Where's
point
the
with
justice?
this, right?
Yeah.
So the thing I realized is, like, he wrote this. His hospital privileges at our hospital were taken away. I didn't have to ever work with him again. You know, that was a big hit to him, and he did write me an apology, but then I still see him at conferences, and people still are like, that guy's so amazing, XYZ.
Whoa.
And I will like be like, you know, by the way, like, he sexually assaulted me. And I just wonder to myself, like, what do I need out of this situation?
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I mean?
a great
Like,
question.
do I need him to face to face say I'm sorry, which never happened, you know?
It
Or
would be
do I
nice if
need
he
him-
owned up to it, you know, like owning up to it in a letter. I'm sure he's just doing that for himself, but like, you know, I want to see, like, I've been sexually assaulted in various levels, and I didn't. Two of them I didn't realize until way later, where Corinne pointed it out, and I was like, oh, that's a good point. Okay, but you know, where, like, my friend. Okay, so my friend, in terms of him owning it, like, my friend was at a dinner one night with this guy. It wasn't a date. He had his arm around her in front of everybody, made her feel very uncomfortable. And everybody else assumed, oh, I guess they're dating. She doesn't know this guy. His arm is like, he's touching her hair in front of everybody. So it's like, what do
Yeah.
you do? She texted me during that. And I go, this is what you do. You turn to him and you go, what are you doing? What are you doing? I want you to say out loud what you're doing to me. I don't know you. What are you doing? And so I'm like, that, I don't know what level it is for like that form of offense of like, intimidating you. You're a student, you're trying to learn. It's just inappropriate in every way. Like, him owning up to what he did, would that make you feel better? Because it's like the sense of power gets taken away from you. How do you get that back? Is to see him struggle to explain it to you. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't know either. And it's like, I don't really care. Like, I've seen him do surgery. He's an excellent surgeon. I think he honestly is a good doctor. And I don't like have any interest in this guy's life being destroyed. I just don't know. Like, I
Right.
literally have I'm 0% interest. But I also don't feel like going to a conference and seeing that, you know, the industry sponsored event that he's getting the corporate sponsorship and giving a talk, and everybody's like seeing him as a mentor that I have to be around. And,
Yeah,
you know, I
because
don't.
he's failed as a mentor greatly.
Right. Yes. And I don't know I just don't know what that looks like. I don't know, you know, and even though, like, technically, you know, there probably is something more that could have been done about somebody like basically assaulting an employee on hospital grounds in the middle of the day, I'm sure. But to me, it wasn't that. And I don't know what it is. And it's still unsettling.
He
but I
gets
don't know
away
what
with it.
is.
His crimes are on the DL, and he's still allowed at all these things. And it's like, okay, well, I don't want him to never be a doctor again. That's not what I want. I'd want him to address it with a group of people. And I'd want to be one of those people, like, tell me what you did. What the fuck is your problem? If you don't mind me asking, like that, I want you to tell me what the fuck the problem is.
Right.
There was a guy on my, a colleague, I don't know what, I don't want to give it, how do I say this? He's an industry person, but on the other side of the industry.
Just tell us what his closer is.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. And he's not a comic.
Okay.
And I had heard stories of him, sexually harassing, some of his clients before, and a friend of mine went to work alongside him, and she told me the same story that I had heard about this person. And I really like this person a lot. So I went into this person's office, closed the door, and he looked like he was about to get shot in the head. And I was like, hey, so you work with me, and I do Guys We Fucked, right? And that's why I get to have this team assembled. And you are sexually harassing people. And I hear that my friend who went to work with you is giving me the same exact story that I'd heard about you that I wasn't sure is true. What the fuck's your problem? And that's why I went into his office, but I felt like I had that agency because he didn't do it to me. If he did it to me, I can't tell you what I would do, because I don't know. That's just a totally different position emotionally. But I went down and I was like, what is going on here? You need to, I'm like, dude, you can pay somebody to do these things that you're asking your employees and your coworkers to be doing. It's so inappropriate on every level. What's your problem? What the fuck is your problem? And it was a great conversation because he got vulnerable and I got a little bit of understanding, but I scared him to the point where he's like, I need to figure this out. I need to go see a therapist and I need to never say that to anybody again. And I was like, good. Because if you do, and I hear about it, and I don't want to blow you up. I don't want to call, the Hollywood Reporter and be like, so-and-so does this. That's just not at all the end game. But I'm like, just stop doing it. What are you doing?
Yeah, no. And there is I think that kind of catharsis of being able to say that to that person. Like, what were you thinking? And yeah, I want to, when I see this guy out of the corner of my eye at a conference, I want to walk up to the place where he's talking to a bunch of people about surgery and be like, you assaulted me when I trusted you. What do you have to say for that? Yeah. You know what I mean? I just but it's but the problem is, right, if you're at a medical conference and you're that person, people are going to be like, that psycho bitch, she's unregulated. You know what I mean? If you were to be in that, I don't know, but it's definitely
it might now, they might not think that, but I'm sure some people will, but now with the Me Too movement resurging like it did, I do think that people listen to women when we say things now instead of brushing us off. So it's okay, there's a good possibility that she's not a psycho bitch, which again, the bar is so low, but that's a little progress.
Right.
But I give you a lot of ball. I mean, it must have taken a lot of balls to call him out at the time, because say it had been the first accusation, you put yourself in that terrible position where he could deny it, and then you're just in this, for the rest of time, he said, she said situation.
I mean, he wrote me an apology letter, so and I still have it. So proof. It's not a he said.
No, I know. I'm just saying, it could have been had he denied it, had it been the first time. I mean, that's a vulnerability that I can understand why people don't report things, because it could easily go that way, and then you're just
and then you go through all that for what?
For what? Exactly.
Oh, exactly. For sure. And the culture of medicine too is very follow the rules, keep your head down and shut up. And if you don't do those things, then you're a troublemaker. Right. And which is a very, but I mean, it is just so intensely like that. I mean, of any culture I've been a part of, in my life, medicine, hands down, especially surgery, is just so much like that. And maybe it's changed, but it was just really a perfect storm of things. But I think a good thing, kind of doing some sort of transition with all of this, is I don't think any of these experiences makes me I think there's this idea that having these experiences and talking about these experiences, you kind of refer, they're not anti-man. I've devoted my life basically to doing men and women, but I see mostly men and talking to them about their sexuality. And in fact, in the past week, had two men who were twice my age talking to me about their sexual function and literally stopping the conversation to say, I am so comfortable talking to you about this, and somebody, and so these things don't have to be barriers or things that put us in kind of demographic buckets. You're the young white girl who's complaining about this. No, right. It's, it doesn't have to compartmentalize us, and I don't, but
yeah, there's a power. The power is changing, which is wonderful.
Yeah. And I mean, and it hasn't taken us that long to get here, only about 7 billion years.
Yeah. Not bad. Better late than never.
Better late than never. We did it.
Should we talk about any? I had
well, I don't know. We don't want to take up too much of your time here. I know we've been on for a while.
Oh yeah. I could do 10 more minutes. I have to get to a spot shortly.
Okay.
Oh right, it's so late there.
Oh yeah, everybody's listening. Krystyna is an incredible stand-up, and with the show we did.
Yeah, we have to plug. Well, we probably don't need to plug you because. Yeah.
But check out our stuff online and check out Guys We Fucked. Is it only on Luminary now?
Yeah, so the back catalog of Guys We Fucked is available anywhere you get podcasts. But the last 2 years, Corinne and I moved to Luminary, and so it's $2.99 a month. It was $35 for the whole year, and they have a lot of other exclusive podcasts. So we have that, and then I have a solo podcast that's available everywhere. That's very self-helpy,
Nice.
and talks about childhood trauma, and but it's with some laughs.
Well, let me ask you this. Maybe we could I just want to ask Krystyna while we have her about podcasting. Because we were looking up, we listened to your podcast, but I don't think I quite knew exactly how it started, and when we were reading about how you guys started doing like a live show together, like 2010 or something, like, oh, that makes so much sense that it would be so good because it started in such an organic way. It wasn't like we're trying to do this, and so we're going to try to come together and do this. It was like you guys already had that vibe.
Yeah. Whenever you set out to make something that's going to change the world, it's never going to happen. But when you set out to do something because you're like, I feel like a really strong pull to talk about this and I'm really excited to, that's when something great can unfold.
It seems like there is no way around that with creativity in general. Like, unless it's something you just are in your gut and know about or are passionate to talk about.
Yeah.
But was there a time, like, because we've been doing this for a long time, obviously, when we fall on and off on it. Like,
we used to be more regular about it.
We used to be more regular with it.
It happened to be that once we stopped living in different states, that we became less regular about it.
I don't know how that happened. That was always our excuse for not doing it more, that we had a long distance relationship.
Like, we did it every week, and I lived in Oregon and he was living in LA. And then since COVID, we've cohabitated and we do it way less often, which is really pathetic. But
you enjoy your time together.
That's exactly. That's what we have to start. So we get to watch more Netflix together. But was there a time, like, has this doing a podcast together, because it's always weird because we're a married couple, So it's like when we were, especially
not when we started.
Yeah, well, not when we started. Right? That's true. Thank you. But that's always like keeping that, especially when it was long distance, like keeping the priority on the relationship, not on the podcast, of course.
Yeah.
So with you and Corinne, because I know you're both stand-ups, so you're probably in each other's lives, and aside from just the podcast, you see each other at clubs. How do you guys keep your friendship and not just get into business partnership?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we started out as business partners, really. I interned for Corinne when I was in college. She was a junior manager at a talent management company. And so when Guys We Fuck took off, we were like, oh, okay, wait, okay. We need to put a lot of maintenance into this relationship. And I didn't understand that relationships take work of any kind. I was like, well, no, it's just supposed to naturally be great all the time. And if we have to put work in it, that means it's bad. So we put maintenance in, but the maintenance we put in is we make sure that we talk to each other and and when we see each other, we do fun things. We have to do fun shit, or else we'll kill each other. Not because of anything other than we see each other all the time. So we really, and a great paycheck does help you motivate you to keep the relationship alive.
I know. That's
Corinne told me the other day.
If you would just pay me, I think we would argue less. Just like,
I don't know.
I was getting paid. Okay.
But we make it a point to I'm very communicative. She can shut down in ways. So there was a lot of trial and error with figuring out how we best operate. But we make a point, and we think about it often, a lot, to make sure that our friendship is intact and it's thriving and it's good and we trust each other, and we don't I used to think that putting a boundary up with somebody means you don't like them. But that's turns out not the case. She put a boundary up with, like, one example that I always love is, hey, let's never text about work stuff. If it's work stuff, email, put it in an email. Cause I don't want to be hanging out with my friend. And then all of a sudden you're sending me 8 text messages about this. I don't want to deal with that right now. So I want to be able to dive into the work stuff when I choose to, when I can check my email. And I was like, you hate me. So that means you hate me. And she's like, no, Krystyna. And I'm like, okay. But it did, it fixed a lot of tension and a lot of annoyance. And, I honestly, Corinne's one of the best relationships I've ever had.
That's great.
That, I think that makes a lot of sense to it. And it's like, in every relationship, and I did not know this as a kid, even though my parents would tell me about this all the time, it's like you have to be so deliberate with certain aspects of your relationship to get the end result you want. Because I think we all have that idea, especially romantically, that like it should just be as hot and heavy and great as it was that first week. And when it's not, it's time to go.
Well, I mean, that's something like, so when we started dating, like I had just moved to Oregon and he was doing stand-up, and I hit on him poorly after his show. And then we hung out the whole weekend. And then he basically at the end of the weekend asked if he could fly up again to see me. And so we started long distance, like 800 miles. And, both in our like 30s, like not like, like
past the age when you could really justify a long distance relationship.
Like, right. Like people are like, what are you guys
hook up at summer camp?
Like, where are you guys going with that?
Right.
But people are like, oh, that must be so horrible. Like to be like
sounds
that.
awesome.
And I mean, we would see each other, let's say, in the beginning, we'd see each other every other weekend. I think after that, it
You
became
have no
kind
chance
of like,
at being codependent. And the time
You
you
have
do spend together, you love it because it's rare and you appreciate it and you want to make the most out of it. I think it's a great idea. I've talked to couples who don't live together, they're married and don't live together. They deliberately live in separate homes near each other. And I'm like, that sounds like a good plan.
That's like having your own bathroom on steroids.
But what I was saying is, what we had was this de facto situation where we were setting aside time for each other, right? Because it was like we had our own space, we weren't codependent. It wasn't like we were in a relationship just because we were ending up at each other's apartments at the end of the night. It was
Right.
like, I have to put aside this time and see you, and then when we're together for these 2 nights, we're going to go to dinner both nights. It's going to be date night, and it's going to be and we're going to go on a little trip, and we're going to spend time focused on each other. And it was really awesome. And this is what I say to people all the time. If a guy's willing to pick you up at LAX like 150 times, that he really loves you.
I just talked to Corinne about how I've never had a guy pick me up at the airport before, but that is an act of love. That's like a real act of love, especially LAX.
If you can get a guy across to JFK because you're in New York, that's really, if he's only going to pick up in LaGuardia, that's maybe just sort of like, okay,
yeah, it's lazy.
It's lazy. Well, all right, let's let Krystyna go. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous to get to go do stand-up. New York's open again, huh?
Yeah. New York Comedy Club has a penthouse. It's outdoors, so it's still outdoor stuff, but there's a lot of venues. And I'm going to email you, Mo, to get both. Well, I have your email address.
Yeah.
I would love to schedule you both separately for Guys We Fucked.
That'd be amazing.
That would be awesome. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
This was really fun, guys. Thanks for.
Thank you so much for doing it. Yeah. Really appreciate it. All right, crush 'em.
Awesome.
Ashley and I would like to thank all of you for listening to our humble podcast. Please subscribe and give us a good rating. Tell all your friends. And don't forget, we are answering all your questions at 213-631-3460 or at thefullreleasepod@gmail.com. .com.